85 years old.
Huh.
Bert, when were you born?
I'm Bertha Miller. I was born April the 26th in 1915 in Union County.
Were y'all born in Union County too?
I was.
Oh, really? So that's where
We were all
everybody,
born
is that where
home.
people, that's where you lived? That was,
Yeah.
for how long? Who all was, how long did y'all live there?
Well, we didn't stay in no place long. My dad always sold that place and bought up another with a whole big new ground all over, trees everywhere. He'd have them cut down, and we'd have to pull up stumps and pile them up on a pile and burn them.
Did he have a lot of money?
He didn't have any money.
We used to have a lot of money.
He worked us to death.
Oh.
Well, he had 10 girls and we had to work.
Yeah, there were what, 10 girls and 4 boys?
5 boys.
5 boys? Oh, I thought there were 14, there's 15 of
The
y'all.
first baby died.
His first baby
Ada
died.
Bell was
His
her.
first wife died, and then he married our mama.
See, they were cousins. The wives were cousins. We were all mixed up.
Who were the 4 though that came to y'all? John and Badger,
And Susie, Leah,
Susie and Leah.
Ada Bell died.
But they were a lot older than y'all, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, they were up about grown when we was born.
Yeah.
See, Mama went there to help raise the children. She was going to Southern Hall, like girls' school in Concord. And she quit school and went to stay with my daddy.
Went to marry him, he begged her
And,
to marry him. And Aunt Elliot, he begged Aunt Elliot to marry him. Aunt Elliot said, you can have care, but you cannot have me.
I wonder what what was she studying to do? Do you know?
Nurse.
Oh, she's going to be a nurse.
She had some books at home that she kept for about 100 years back.
Well, what was school like when y'all were little?
We
I
had
went to a little two-room schoolhouse.
We walked to
Spring
school
time.
2 miles every morning, walked all every evening.
Uphill all the way.
Across the big old creek, and across the creek to get to school.
There's 5 grades in one room. And you went up front in the schoolroom and sat on the bench when it come your class's time to perform.
Oh, really?
Where was that school?
Belmont.
In Belmont.
Midland was our first.
That was the name of the school. It's in Union County,
Oh.
down there at Crooked Creek.
We used to set up on a lumber pile to eat our lunch, and we had molasses in a bucket. We sopped it with cornbread.
We prepared a lot of sweet potatoes too.
Yeah.
I know, and I really did like the sweet potatoes, but I was in
Ann
marriage,
was
you
dating
know,
Brady
I'd
one day at lunch. And
You'd what?
slice them so nobody would know it was a baked potato.
Oh, sweet potato.
Oh, did you think other people had better
I
food?
thought so.
I mean, y'all.
My daddy would buy the big gallon cans of peanut butter, and that was really something.
Big
for
hoops of
us.
cheese
And we'd make
and
peanut
100
butter
pounds of
crackers.
pintos. You remember them 100-pound bags of pinto
Yeah.
beans?
100-pound bag.
It would last us a winter time.
Yeah.
We lived way out in the country and didn't go to town much.
Well, now, was that more out in the country than when they lived over around Georgeville?
Yeah,
Now, were y'all still little? Were y'all still at home?
Yeah.
when They lived at Georgeville?
Pine Bluff.
Georgia
Pine
lived
Bluff.
there.
we lived at Volker Place,
Yeah.
Clark's Place.
Where was the
McCord
Vulcan
place.
place?
What?
Where was the Vulcan place?
That, so where, you remember when we had the picture made of all 5 of us standing on the porch? The preacher came and baptized us all.
Yeah, I remember when Margaret and I were baptized at home. Preacher came and baptized us.
Well, he came down there in Union County too, and baptized us.
Probably you all.
How about
There's
that?
5 of us.
They came to the house.
Did they
Surely I
did
wasn't
they-
baptized twice.
Yeah, Beulah was. She, in her old age, she forgot she had been baptized, and she made them baptize her again.
Is that something that they normally did, or did they do
No,
that for y'all
that's just
because
the
you
way
didn't
of
go
life.
to church?
And people came around selling books, and my daddy'd buy a book from everybody, for mom to read to it, because he couldn't
Aw.
read and write.
He read the
But he
Bible
helped us
every
with our
night
homework.
till then.
Well, you know, she read a lot of true stories. Where did she get those books?
From the Collin girls,
Call girls.
Canal.
Oh,
I remember her reading those.
We
when I
had a
was little
mailbox
girl.
halfway between each house. We'd write letters and put in the hole in the tree. That was our mailbox.
Now, where did they live? Where did the Connell girls live?
That was when we lived at the Baldwin place. Before that, we lived at the Cott's place, and then we lived at the McWhirter place. When I was little, we had these big houses with porches all the way around.
Yeah,
where
where
did you
tell
say,
us?
Journey? Huh?
What?
I asked Journey what she said.
What town was the Baldwin place in?
Wasn't in no
Is it in
town.
Midland?
You know, when we went to school at Spruce Pine,
Yeah, Lord.
that's when Jack and Henriette got married.
Yeah.
You remember those circumstances, we better not put that on that.
Now, the baby was born up at Susie's that night, and they didn't have any clothes to put on me, and they put some of Susie's baby's clothes on me.
And that was their baby before they got married.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's
My
not all
daddy
that.
made him go marry her.
We can put that on.
Yeah.
My daddy made him marry and said, you got her that away, you're gonna marry. And so he took her that night up to Susie's and got married.
And
That was
nobody else
Jack and
got
Henriette?
pregnant but Grace. Grace was pregnant when she got
Was,
pregnant.
it was.
He always said he'd kill us when we got pregnant.
Lord, I was lucky. I didn't get pregnant.
I didn't either.
I knew better.
Well, he didn't.
You barely waited.
And here comes Betty.
We had
I was
petty
afraid of my
sense
dad.
and
Oh,
that
I
anyway.
I knew not to.
Had to.
Cause
Shoot, I'd have been scared I'd have got killed,
me
sure enough.
too.
Bert worked job as a schooler to the watermelon feast, and that was a disgrace. Women didn't wear pajamas.
It was there.
That's when those
when
pajamas came out.
Mary
Why you have-
was for her. We had it down there on the hill in the pasture.
Here, it's blacks.
You went,
Yeah.
you went
They
somewhere
had
in
beaner roast a
pajamas?
lot.
It was in big legged pajamas. It made me.
Palazzo pants.
They were beautiful. I was a big shot there.
Mama always had a baby on her lap.
Oh, I bet with that many children.
We had a long bench, and the girls sat over here, the boys sat over there. But they had chairs, we had to sit on the bench.
In
We
school
didn't
or
want-
where?
At home, we weren't allowed to say a word at the table.
I know, but you know that time we got tickled at the table.
Juicy woosey poosey.
Bert could get by with anything.
That wasn't me. Jim's the one that said, pass the juicy woosey poosey.
No,
And Daddy
I
made
think
him
I
go.
was the one that said that, and Jack got tickled and blew his cornbread milk all over Dad.
Yeah, and made one of you get away from the table.
He was, my daddy was fussing at you one time. You said, well, everybody says I'm just like you, and he lied.
So we did have a good sense of humor.
We had a good time. We really did have a good time.
But we
We
didn't
used to
listen.
roast onions at night in the kitchen, in the stove, while we got our lessons up at night and eat them roasted onions.
Oh.
I bet that was
We
good.
went
It was.
bird flying and killed these little birds and roasted them on the fire. They were so good.
Kill little birds.
Yeah, bird
Never
flying.
did do
We'd go to
that.
Nettie Mae's and get with the Goodman kids, and
I remember that.
we'd go we went possum hunting and everything.
Well, yeah, I used to do that.
We always had a fish
whenever
fish
we
basket
got-
in the creek. That's the way we got our fish.
I can remember Grandma
We drank
frying
out of
squirrel
we drank out
and
of
rabbit
the
and
spring. We didn't have any running water till we drank spring water.
I know,
When
make
I
us
was a
a
little
cup out of
girl, down there on the
leaves.
hill, there was no running water.
We had a cooler at school, and the boys would go carry the water out of the spring and bring it to the schoolhouse, and we'd all drink. We all had a tin cup that folded. Everybody had a tin cup.
Hmm.
And we drank water out of the cooler. We sat around this big old stove right in the center of the room.
Well, we did have an icebox when we lived over there at that last place when we got married.
Yeah, that's the first time I knew about ice.
Well, when Grandma had their babies, who helped deliver them?
Granny helped.
Midwife delivered all of her kids.
Mama helped deliver some. She'd always go up to Mrs. Barrett's at that big White House and deliver her babies. And when Grace had Vivian, Mama went over there to the Wallaces and helped deliver her. Dr. Gow came out, Dr. Kettner came out. And he went to bed and went to sleep, and they delivered the baby.
Dr. Lujenko slept at our house the night I was born.
Who?
Dr. Lujenko
Yeah,
delivered me.
He was there one.
yeah, it's something different from us.
I think he was probably Russian.
I told him, that, you know, we had walked all over the woods that day, Leonard and me, and then, you know, started having pains that night. And I was telling him about it, you know, I said, would that hurt me? And he said, no, it would probably help if you'd have jumped over some fences while you were out there.
We had at the Walker place. What was the name of the Hagler place? That's where we had the wine cellar, when my daddy made all that wine. Kept it in the wine cellar.
Now, where was the Hagler place? What
The
town?
Hagler place, it was about 3 miles from the place at Midland, at Balkan place. We didn't move very far. It had to be a creek where we moved. He wouldn't move anywhere unless it had a creek running through it. But he had good sense. He's a Marcus man. They put him in a Catholic school, I know you know that. They put a dress on him, and he left 3 times.
Who, your daddy?
Granddaddy Beatty?
Yeah, his daddy was killed in the Civil War, one of the wars, and that left 4 children with no father.
Also, they put him in like Catholic
Religion.
orphanages.
Yeah, and they
Foster care.
put these brown dresses on the boys. And he left 3 times, and so he just stayed home after that. He
Well,
was
now,
about 8
William
years old
Beatty
then.
was his daddy, and he wasn't killed in the Civil War.
Who?
William Beatty was your daddy's father?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was your daddy's
I
father,
knew Grandma
William,
Beatty, but I never did
and
know.
Jane. Because he didn't die till about 1890.
I should go over and know.
Yeah.
She's got all that literature in that Beatty book.
What?
And you said your daddy's father was killed in the Civil War?
Yeah.
He was
That's
still
what they always
alive in
told.
1880.
And they had a big box of money buried out in the backyard. That's when the money changed. They made all new money, and they lost their loop then when they changed the money. I don't know what year that was. But that, you remember Grandma Beatty staying with us one time, and we had gone out to rob the guinea nest in the woods. And she got after me and you, and I thought she was going to beat us to death, but she didn't catch us.
Why was she going to beach?
We was robbing the guinea nest.
Oh, the guinea nest.
Were you doing that, you couldn't eat the guinea egg, were you doing that just for fun,
Well, we'd
kicks?
get eggs and take them to the store and buy candy. Cracker Jacks.
Oh,
We used to
We were mean.
slip all of the hens' nest and hide the eggs out there at the barn. Then when we went by the barn going to school over there at Midland, we would take us a poke and put the eggs in it and take them to the store and then swap it for candy. They had candy to carry to school.
We'd buy 5 boxes of Cracker Jacks at one time. We did a little bit of everything.
And that's what Mama had to use the eggs to buy extra stuff for her to have to cook with. And we was using them to get candy.
We went in this car. These men came out from Monroe. They were horse traders. They came out to look at the horses. Well, we went in their car and stole the fountain pens, everything they had.
We stole some kind of
We
metal,
took the pins off, the soccer pins
metal
off
off
their
of the
coats.
men's jackets. They left their
We
jackets.
gave it to John Thorne Goodman. And Nanny Mae told on us, and Mama whipped us. We were sitting out there in that buggy. She came out there laughing and whipped us with a stick.
Oh, Grandma was laughing.
Yeah. She said, I'm gonna whip you because your daddy gonna whip you too hard. But he did cut me all to pieces one time.
She run and I run down in the pasture and stayed till it got dark, and I come back to the house after dark, and he had done forgot about whipping me.
They were into something all the time.
Well, we drive over San Diego too.
You know, Bert
We
used
got
to-
caught for that.
Bert used to slip Mama's glasses and wear them to school.
Yeah.
She'd hide them till she got out to the bus, you
Yeah,
know.
oh, we got the bus and I put them
We had
on.
bloomers with the rubber, inner tube rubber, and Mama made them. And you'd put it up that bloomer leg till you got to the bus. We drowned the old setting hen one time too, didn't we? With the carried out
Mama
in the
said
woods.
if you put them underwater, they would quit setting, because she couldn't get any eggs, the old hens would set, and it would hatch out chickens, so she wouldn't get any eggs. So me and Ann tied a string to the legs to the old hens and took them down to the branch, the running water below the spring, and we drug them hens across the water that way, and then we drug them back, drug them across and drug them back, till we drowned the buzz of them, and we carried them up on the hill. Next day, the buzzards started coming up above there, and Mama said, wonder what them buzzards is after. We never did tell her we drowned them hens.
Well, he went out there and found it. My daddy went out there and found it, what it was. Said, that's where that old hen went. She's dead out there in the woods.
He didn't know y'all drowned them though, did he?
No, he beat us to death.
Well, when y'all started dating, what did you do?
We did date.
We didn't
Well,
know
how
what
did you
dating
meet
was.
Brady and Jerry? And I know I might have met
Well,
Brady.
we had a room with a fireplace in it, and it had a bed, and we had
And
a
no
bags
leather
computer.
couch in it.
We had an old wet leather couch, and we'd sit in there in court in front of the fireplace,
Yeah.
and my daddy just poop, poop, poop.
He
Did you live in Midland then?
Yeah. we
You lived down in Midland then?
Yeah.
Well, Bert, how'd you meet Jerry?
He was
I
from,
went to spend the week with Lee, my half-sister,
Uh-huh.
and her husband. And I thought,
Sounds
Lord,
good.
I was the nicest, best-looking man I ever saw in my life. And Lee, you done amazing John's washing, and Jerry boarded with them. And he'd come
Oh.
across the cornfield over there to Lear's at night and date me, and we'd sit out in the front porch in the swing.
How about
And
that?
dated that way, and then he bought my wedding clothes when we went to get married. I told him I didn't have no money, I couldn't buy no wedding clothes. He said he'd buy them. So Maisie went with me and Jerry uptown to buy my wedding dress and helped me pick it out.
How old were you?
17.
17.
What was your wedding dress like? Was it-
It's a beautiful white crepe dress, and it had a royal blue jacket on it and a yellow corsage up here on it. It was pretty, and it got me a pair of first high heel shoes I ever had, and white shoes, and it looked so pretty together.
Yeah.
But we didn't have no film to take no pictures, so I didn't have any pictures of it. I wish I would have.
I know.
I picked cracked cotton and got my wedding clothes.
Really?
Yeah, that picture of you, that's a pretty suit.
I know I had a great.
Where did y'all buy your clothes? In Concord?
We
You
get
know-
Mr. Meisnammy in Midland took us to town every Saturday. He'd go into Concord every Saturday. You know old man Meisnammy in Midland.
Yeah, you know she does.
He took
I
us to
believe we met
town.
him.
We were scared to death to ride with him because half the time he was an old man, he'd run off of the road. I could just see him going down the hill there in that car and killing us.
Oh,
You know,
he
she
had a
just-
car? Like
Yeah,
a
he
mo-
had a car, he had a big
She
car.
just died recently. Liz Meisnammer.
Did he?
Yeah.
And
he-
where did you meet Brady?
We were in school together.
Oh,
She-
he grew up down there, didn't he?
Yeah.
See, his mother died, and he came to live with Paul and Eva Black, his aunt and uncle.
Oh,
They raised him, and he worked on the farm. for them, for,
Did all y'all go to Bethel?
Yeah,
Did y'all go to Bethel?
All of
Yeah.
us went to Bethel.
yeah.
Yeah.
I stopped,
but I'm gonna do somebody else first and come back and get you, okay?
that'd be fine. Is it all right with you?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay, that,
up at night, you know, when they were having anything at night.
yeah, we always went.
Well, Leonard was dating this other girl, you know, at that
Was it Annie
time.
Turner?
No, it was Cleo Von Cannon that he was dating. And I was dating Johnny White. Well, Leonard and Cleo and Glenn, his brother and his girlfriend, would come by and get me on Sunday afternoon, you know, to go with them, wherever they's going.
You'd be the girl and.
I'd be the
two
extra
couples?
girl, yeah, but they'd come by and get me. Well, then later on, when we were over at the church one night, and, you know, as we came out, he was talking to me, and so he'd gone with me, you know, a few times, and his other girlfriend didn't like it at all. She said, "Leonard, I want to talk to you." And she stood out there, they stood out and talked, you know, about 12 o'clock. She's trying to get him not to go with me. So later on, Johnny White, I was dating him some before I really started going with Leonard. And he had me up as the prettiest girl. You know, at school you had to pay a penny a vote. And he had me up as the prettiest girl. Well, that afternoon late, got time to go, Leonard had called or come or something. Some way or another he had asked me, you know, to go take me to the schoolhouse that night. And I told him yes, I'd go. And when Johnny came to get me, I had a date with him. When he came to get me, we were already gone. So Mama had to go out and tell him that I was not there. And he was so mad at me when he came in the auditorium at school because I was with Leonard and I had a date with him. So that's the way we got started. We just kept seeing each other.
They stayed at our house the first night, and Leonard had to go out and stand on the porch while she put her gown on.
I had a yellow crepe
Yeah,
gown.
you
It
did.
was
and
so pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that yellow crepe gown?
Bought it, I guess, from
Bill
somebody.
Beatty sent us money from Flint, Michigan to get our prom dresses.
Yeah, he did.
Our brother, he was living in Flint, Michigan. And we wrote and told him we had a prom, but we didn't have any money to buy us any clothes. So he mailed us some money and we bought us.
Wonder how in the world he got to Flint, Michigan.
Who is this?
Bill.
Beatty,
He
our
worked at the
brother.
Ford plant, that's when
Oh.
he
He got in with the wrong crowd and got.
He got syphilis
bad
while he was up there.
disease. And
Really?
he wrote our daddy and told him about getting this bad disease.
What did he have, syphilis or gonorrhea?
He got something like one of those bad
A
diseases.
venereal.
We call it the bad disease.
Bad disease.
And the bad,
the bad
he-
disease.
But he sent him some money to go to a doctor and get over it.
Huh.
He did send him money to help him.
Well, that was, yeah. I think Granddaddy Baby got kind of real nice in the end, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. He got better after he went off down that ditch to blow the house there. Drove the car down that ditch.
But you know, we were afraid
He
of
went
him.
blind too. He was
Yeah.
blind.
Huckleberry full in his eye. when
You know, he
was
said he
blind.
promised God that if he'd let him get his sight back, he'd never drink anymore, and I don't think he did.
You know, his daddy was blind with,
He got drug over in the woods one time, and
Yeah.
the neighbors had to come and bring him home.
I know. What'd you say, Julie?
His daddy, Grandpa's daddy, was blind with cataracts too.
Really? Well, I guess back then you didn't know what to do.
Whether it's Fanny or Minnie, one of the two.
Yeah. Wonder how old they were when they died. Do you know Dad's mom and Dad?
Well, Jane didn't die till about 1926. So
She used to come and stay with
quite
us a lot.
We was
But he
killing
died
the
around
hog,
1890.
killing the hog out there in the backyard one day, and I remember her stuffing those entries out of the hog, getting all the guts out of it, bowel movements out of it, and then washing them out, and then we had this machine that was put over the end of it, and turned the handle, and it stuffed those entries, made stuffed sausage. I can see her doing that, yeah.
Well, we put the sausage in bags and put them in the smokehouse, and they lasted all winter. It was
Yeah.
cold, and
Yeah.
the smokehouse was dark and cold, and that's the way we saved our sausage.
Meat too, we hung our hams
Yeah,
and
we had
shoulders
a
out.
lot of meat.
I can remember her, you canning it though, it was in jars.
We did that was the best canned sausage you ever eat.
I can
We'd have
remember,
about 300 jars of canned goods.
Mm.
And we had a big wooden bucket we kept the sugar in. We bought that in big bulks.
She kept her milk down in a hole in the ground. I
Yeah.
remember that.
and the iceman would come,
Yeah,
bring a big
Yeah.
old chunk of ice.
That was later on,
yeah,
you know, we
When
put the
we were
milk in the,
ice
ground,
box.
under the ground.
We kept
And
the
in the
butter down there
spring,
in
we
the spring.
put it in the spring.
Yeah, we put the butter down there and it laid a rock. Mama would lay a rock in there and set the butter on.
Mhm.
How about that?
We've come a long way, haven't we?
You girls have really come a long way. Y'all be proud of yourselves.